Hi, everybody, and welcome to Best of 3, an esports podcast by Organized Gaming. I'm Mike.
Hi, I'm Alex, KrispyKim. You know me.
And today, folks, it is it's just the two of us. It's a best of two today, because you know what, we've since this whole thing has started, since COVID and since working from home and since all of the movements have kind of been happening. We've realized that we haven't really had that much of a chance, or we haven't really taken that much of the time to come out and just kind of talk about it. Like this is our platform, yeah. Alex, and we can, spend our time talking about the issues that are, near and dear to us. And these are, some Definitely. Of the things that have really been affecting us and the people around us, and basically the world for quite a little while. So, today, guys, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be speaking a little bit about what esports is looking like right now.
Gaming in general.
Gaming, yeah. A lot of people, a lot of games, a lot of people, a lot of individuals, a lot of groups, a lot of communities are kind of struggling with a lot of different topics in esports at the moment and in gaming, and we definitely want to talk about that today. Then, of course, we also want to talk about what Best of 3 looks like, what the podcast itself. Things look different, things sound different about the podcast, and it's about time that we kind of talk about what happened and how we're dealing with it, because I'm sure a lot of people would love to know how others are dealing during this kind of a time.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. We're also going to be talking about what organized gaming looks like, what Amuka looks like. I know you guys have been going through a ton. I've been doing all my stuff from here, so I don't really get to see it on a day-to-day basis. But definitely, I know you guys have been through the ringer as well. So I want to hear all about that. So where to start? Let's go real micro right now. Alex, what is a day in the life of you right now?
A day in the life of me.
Yeah.
So recently I've made a strong effort to make it back into the office. I know COVID is still a thing, and I know there's a lot of safety concerns and stuff like that, health concerns still lingering, but for me personally, I find it so hard to work from home. And I know a lot of gamers, a lot of people who spend a lot of time on their setups at their computer. They're very comfortable there. That's where they spend a lot of their time and everything. Personally, that comfort level it goes too far. And I need somewhere to be a little bit more uncomfortable when I'm trying to get some work done. So I've made a big effort to 3 out of the 5 days of the week spend time at the office and at Waves, just to try to get my efficiency back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I talked a little bit about it on Twitter, or alluded to it maybe, but I had a really hard time during COVID, not seeing people, and just different situations that came up because of this, personal issues, family issues, things like that, and just it's been tough. So really, I'm happy to be back at the office, and I'm happy to be coming here to be able to see Ben and Aaron are here on a day-to-day basis as well, so I get to see them, and some of the other people that pop by once in a while when they want to as well. Then we can have some face-to-face interaction. You know what I mean? Some real in-person interaction.
I mean, it's such a big thing how much we as people kind of took the workplace for granted. Feels like how when we were forced to be home, how different everything kind of felt just all at once. Just needing to be home 5 days a week. I'm a father. I've had my kid home 5 days a week for the past 3 months, and I'm a completely different person now. That's hard.
Sure.
That's hard.
How do you get any work done? How do you do you have to set aside times where it's okay, this much time for work and then this much time for my daughter, or
kind of, and at the same time, if if she needs anything, that the rest of everything else is kind of out the window. Or like I'm carrying her on my work with me while I'm dealing with her and while I'm talking with her.
Right.
So like forget about like gaming for the past however many months. I've barely been able to log on to anything, let alone play. Maybe I'll get
Oh
like a
yeah.
good 2 or 3 games of Hearthstone or League or Dota or something in, like
Right.
maybe every other day, maybe once every 3 days or something. But there are
hmm
definitely days where it's like, no, it's nothing.
It's yeah. My gaming has. You would think that you have a lot more time, you have a lot more whatever,
Yeah.
but just I haven't even. I felt unmotivated is what
Mm,
it is. It was like so much was happening, and there's just so much to take in, and so many sad things that are happening around the world, and it just it wasn't it doesn't feel like a bright time for me.
mm,
Um, yeah, and I don't have a kid either, but I do have a dog
right.
who's going on 13 now, and yeah, she's getting old, and she has cancer now. She has heart disease, and like I feel like I'm having to take care of a child.
Mm,
She's very sick, and yeah, so I feel like I can relate a little bit in that way with you.
I
So
didn't know that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah,
Mm,
so it's tough. Like
mhm.
the vet bills are through the roof right now. It's really expensive in a really hard financial time too. So
Is it possible to go and see vets still though?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Okay,
in
that's good.
emergency situations and everything,
Oh,
like
that's
all of
great.
that's still available. And also just over time, it's loosening up a little bit. So
Hmm.
it's getting easier to see the vet and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah,
And so I mean, I'm not to downplay your issues or mine, but it feels like kind of the world, it has, everybody kind of has a myriad of different issues going on right now as well.
yeah,
In general, it kind of feels like the world is hurting. Um,
it is.
like thousands of people, suffer and the
Well, it's
worst could
just
happen to people with COVID every single day. Like it's pretty crazy how the world has kind of changed because of that.
I mean, COVID was the first big thing to sort of shake the world. It
Right.
changed the world like on a global level, and then on top of that, you started seeing the BLM movement really get some wind in their sails, and like their voices are so loud right now,
Mm.
and there's all the police brutality that's happening, all the systemic racism, all of that, and then on top of that, you have all of the Me Too, the wave of allegations that are happening in esports and gaming, just the power abuses, the sexual misconduct,
Yeah.
even against minors and everything. It's sickening to see. And it's all coming out and happening at once.
Yeah. No, it's
And
true.
then
Well, and I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement has it's not new, and we know that
definitely
it's
not new.
not new.
Yeah,
Um, and like their voices need to be heard, and everybody's voices need to be heard. And now that people are at home and like just consuming and consuming and consuming media and able to really think through things, the movement has been able to kind of go even further, which is so great. Just that like
right.
we're able to give, I don't know, like I feel like voices are being heard now a lot more than before. Like these voices were always there, but now they're stronger.
I mean, the amount of support that's coming
Yeah.
from people outside of the movement, I think, is really what's making the difference right now.
Yeah.
It built up momentum, and a lot of people who weren't familiar or who weren't allies before have gone through the process of educating themselves, of being a little bit less ignorant, maybe a little bit more mindful about these things in their day-to-day lives. Maybe they're not everybody is out there doing big things, but
Right.
everyone can look into themselves and see what they're doing. So I think that's something that happened.
A lot of
Really,
introspection.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Just because of the quarantine in general, I think introspection and just all of these things have come to a head just because there was so much time to sit and sort of marinate with all of
Hmm.
this. and there's not a ton else going on. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's made me change how I look at how I'm spending my time, what I'm doing and saying online or otherwise. Like it's I'm hoping that people are going to come out of this better people. But I mean, for me anyway, it's just been a lot of reevaluating who I am and what I stand for, and um, a lot of that has really kind of come out through the Black Lives Matter movement, and I've kind of attached myself pretty hard onto some of the values and the morals that they've been trying to show and trying to instill. Um, and I've been spending a lot of time educating myself on what has been going on and the systemic racism that's been going on. So that I mean is something that I can say now that I know a lot more about than I did before this whole thing started. But
I find that interesting too, because there's, you are Black, and BLM was something you knew about before.
Correct.
But just how impactful the movement has become sort of during this time is even people like yourselves who may have, how do I say this, who could have been part of the movement before recently. This is the time where really you started to take on those beliefs and values, right? So
and like it's interesting that you say that, because like I said, this thing hasn't not been here for a while. Like it's been around, but I've never really attached myself to it as much as I have right now. And it's not just because of the fact that I have more time on my hands. It's because of the fact that, I'm listening more than I ever have, really. And like I've seen things, and I'm seeing things that are happening to people in the Black community and other communities as well. And it's just like, oh man, like to sit back and do not, like, you can't do nothing.
It's tough. Once you see it, I definitely was ignorant before. And like everyone knows about racism, you hear about it and these things, and you're like, yeah, it's there, but maybe it doesn't affect me, or maybe it's not as pervasive as people make it out to be. And once your eyes sort of get open to that, you peel back the curtain and you really see it, it's hard to go back.
Yeah.
How do you turn a blind eye to that, right? For me personally, that's how I felt, is even if I felt like it didn't affect me personally, it was very hard to not have that on my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, to transition that into what we're dealing with in esports, like a lot of people in the esports community kind of felt like they were exempt of that as well. They kind of thought, oh, well, that doesn't happen in my community. My community isn't like that. Where now we're finding out, like, it is. And it has been
possibly even worse than other markets, other
in some situations. So. Yes, absolutely. Right now there's well, again, to bring it back to quarantine in esports, there's a long history of depression in esports, and quarantine and isolation like that. It to go by what you've when your words, it's exacerbated it. Absolutely. Like a lot of people are feeling it now that they're being asked to stay indoors and to remove yourself from social situations, and a lot of people think, oh, that means more time for gaming, that means more time for practicing, and then people are also at the same time feeling bouts of depression, battling bouts of depression. It's tough.
It's really hard. I think even I was cooped up for quite a while, right. And I was just feeling super restless, and I wasn't eating as much as I should have.
Really?
And I'm not going out and everything. And just I went out for a walk. It's the weather's really nice today, and like I just realized the effect that, the sun can have on me.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I haven't like, I walk the dog for like, a little bit here and there, but to really just go out and like for like an hour or two or like, and just soak up some sun and really get, I don't know, some more light and positivity. I feel like it helped a lot.
Yeah.
I ended up even all of my platforms like Twitch, whatever, like Twitter, there's dark mode on all of these. And I ended up actually just switching all those back to light mode to try to just brighten my mood. Yeah. And I think all of those things really, really impact people without them even consciously knowing it. So, like take a break, go outside, like, like get some self-care done.
Yeah.
Some real self-care, and you can get back to gaming maybe a little bit later, right? So
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way that kind of affects us as an esports organization, actively saying, take a break, like let your passion be your passion, but also, be a person.
Yeah.
For us as a company, like it, for a little while, it felt almost weird and like almost insensitive to be putting out content during all of that. And so we took a rather hefty, I guess, like 4, 5, 6 week break, just after COVID started. We had a couple episodes that we like rolled out and until the point that everyone was asked to stay home, and then at that point we were like, oh well, we can't see each other. We sure as heck can't invite people to come and spend time with us. Like, how are we going to do this? And so for us, what that meant is staying home ourselves and figuring out kind of what we were going to do, which ultimately turned into this. And, now we chat over Discord.
We do it. Yeah. We do the live streams and then we record, we can release the podcast afterwards.
That's right.
Yeah, and we can do it from home, and we can also reach guests that we normally wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
So we can have guests on through Discord instead of in person, which made it a little bit more difficult. So
yeah, I mean, in some ways it made it difficult. In some ways it made it easy, and in some ways it made it like it was kind of eye opening. Like, oh, this is 100% something that works and something that we can do moving forward. Ideally I would love to have people in, as I'm sure you would, but at the same time, like to talk with somebody in their home, just it felt so much more comfortable, like we were being invited in, and likewise we were inviting them into our personal space to say like, this is what we do, this is where we work. But
and that level of intimacy is really cool. Actually, I do like that.
But yeah, you definitely do lose the interpersonality of just being like, hey, let me shake your hand, like, good to see you. Because what a lot of people don't see, what a lot of people don't hear from Best of Three and from just this podcast in general, is all of the things that happen before and after the conversations that we have with people, where we get to know them. Exactly. During the breaks, absolutely. Like, we get to know these people. We get to like spend some time with them, and in certain occasions we get to like play games with them when we're doing things out of waves,
and build friendships.
Yeah. And so now it's like, no, for me, like I usually have to run the second the podcast is over, because I have to go and deal with my daughter who's been banging down the door by minute 45. And beforehand, absolutely not. Same thing, because we're spending all the time setting up and getting cameras ready and making sure that we have all our talking points ready. It's hard. It's very different. And then in person, let me just say this one. Then in person, you get all the setup kind of beforehand. And all it is just you set up the chair for the person to sit in, they're good to go. That's like all the prep work that you really need to do. Maybe you go over a couple talking points or whatever, but like that's all there. So it's unfortunate that is kind of gone. I'm unable to do that kind of prep work.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, And to go back to sort of us, struggling with the content that we're creating, not just with having guests on and stuff. Obviously the guests are great, but it felt so just kind of tone deaf to act like this wasn't happening and to talk about, oh, hey, wasn't this a great tournament, or wasn't this a great clip, whatever, maybe like this game, like whatever's happening in that game right now. Yeah. Just it felt kind of insignificant, that it wasn't something that we should be highlighting, and it was a tough time where I didn't know what we should be doing, because there is pressure. We are a business, we are a company, we have an obligation to keep this going, to keep releasing content, and it's what we do. And that sort of versus our, I don't know, sort of our personal moral obligations, I guess, sort of clashed. And I think the FGC stories episode, we even had to cancel that one as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing too. Just everything that's going on in the FGC. Obviously, we're gonna let whatever stories that are coming out be the stories that are coming out. But that's just horrible. What all the stuff that's been going on.
It seems like it's almost worse in Smash and the FGC than
now.
It
feels like
general.
That,
yeah, right say. Now. And the real tough part is it feels like it's going to keep coming, and like there's no real end to it. It's just it's like waves and waves of it, and
it's really sad when it feels like that. Like when it feels like it's not going to stop. That's really telling. That's really bad. That's not a good thing to hear at all.
That's the tough part.
It makes it hard to trust.
You see one isolated incident and you're like, oh damn, that sucks. Yeah. But like when they keep coming and victims keep coming forward, and it gets harder and
Which
harder.
We should say, like, thank you so much to the victims who came forward, the people who were brave enough to go and tell their story to a widespread audience. That takes a very
so much
special
courage.
Kind of guts. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm talking about how much it hurts me to read about these.
Yeah, like
these
us, it's bad enough. Imagine the people who are actually going through it.
The amount of courage and the amount of strength it takes for these victims to come forward, I think, is really not something to be taken lightly.
I agree.
And it's I don't even know what to say there. Yeah. So it's just they're so brave, and I support all of them 100%.
Absolutely, and I mean we're trying to be respectful to everybody who's coming forward and telling their side.
Yeah, I don't really want to drop any victim names or drop any.
Not.
Yeah,
that's like, not our place.
We'll respect everybody's privacy, and we can just sort of speak on the landscape here, and I feel like it's just a little bit more respectful.
Absolutely. So I mean, again, like if you are involved in any of these kind of things in any way, let your truth be heard. Just be, I don't know, like anybody in esports. Like I just wish that everybody would try just to be a kinder person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so hurtful. Like for me going through esports, like just I have either been playing the games or just trying to get better at playing the games. Like everybody else, they're friends. And like they're just other people who are trying to do the same thing. Like I don't get how it comes to the things that it has come to. Like, do people not think when they go through oh man, no, I can't do that. No.
But okay, so there are some really shitty people out there, and these shitty people, a lot of them will stay shitty. Yeah. But I want to highlight, there are some people who have grown, who have educated themselves and who have, become better people. And some of these allegations, they've they've come out and they were sort of farther in the past, and you can see through history with certain people that they are trying to do better.
Yeah.
And certain people, you can see with them that they are not trying to do better, even after these allegations have come out. And I think that's a real big differentiator. I don't think we should outright condemn everybody who has, done anything wrong. Everybody deserves a second chance. And if you look like you are learning and growing and you're looking to become a, positive influence rather than a negative one, I support that too.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense. However, I think that with a lot of the allegations that are coming out, typically a lot of people's response is that happened in the past. And although yes, a person can grow, and a person who says that's in the past may be completely accurate. The fact that it has never been said, and the fact that it had just come out through those allegations is, that's the shitty part, is that it wasn't dealt with at the time, and it wasn't dealt with in the moment. If something shouldn't have happened, and if something was never addressed after it did, then absolutely bring it up. Like,
so I'm not suggesting
I'm a big fan
that
of things being dealt with behind closed doors. So I mean, like, if this is a conversation between two people that needs to be said, then sure. If this was a legal thing, then bring that to the proper authorities. Absolutely. But I don't know. Like,
I'm not giving a pass to people who this incident happened a long time ago and they've grown or whatever. I'm just saying that even after, if you have been a shitty person in the past, you can do better instead of stay shitty.
Yeah.
And I support that move. You can still become a better person, and you can still work to rectify the wrongs that you've done. So I'm just saying
that's a good message.
Like, to try to be a better person even after you get caught or you get exposed or whatever it is that you may feel like it is. Don't look at it like, oh, everyone's out to get me. Just like, be a better person. These are real important issues, and you've done some really shitty things. So
absolutely, for sure. All right, let's take a side step. Let's talk about something different for a while, because it's getting to me. Oh man. Like, what about us? Right? Like, what are things like OG doing? What are things like Amuka doing? What's
I'm very happy to share, and although there's not a ton of concrete details that that I can share right now, but I do know that people in the industry are coming together behind the scenes, and they're trying to create a sort of committee, a safety committee or something of that sort, to really encompass the Canadian scene, right? Whether that be venues, tournament organizers, events, all of these things. Like, there has to be a code of conduct that a very basic code of conduct that should be followed by most everybody. With venues especially, because they're the places that host a lot of these things. So I know a lot of us are coming together behind the scenes, and there's not a ton of details I can share on that quite yet.
Interesting. Okay.
But some of the things that have come up and things that we're looking to address is really getting a code of conduct up at venues and across the nation, and get people to agree to follow these code of conducts. We're talking about safe spaces at events, quiet, safe spaces where somebody can be alone, where no one else has access to, maybe, for certain periods of time at a time, and they can, go in and out. But so an event, if you need to get away from a situation, there should be a safe, quiet space that you can go. Something else that has been brought up is maybe having a sort of psychologist or something like that at events where people can really just sort of talk to them and maybe come in there. If anything happens, they can speak to them, or if anything has happened in the past and they want to speak to them, they can. Or even if somebody wants to just talk about, perform like
Performance
their
anxiety.
mental
I
health,
see.
performance, like all of the anxiety, whatever these things are, sort of more related to esports. All of these mental health considerations, they have someone to talk to.
Hmm.
So something like, hey, larger events where there's maybe 50 or 100 or more people, there should be these people on site. These are things that we are talking about. As well, there should be clear sort of rules and a unified ban list across sort of different organizers and different venues. If one person sort of bans somebody from their smaller tournament, how does that prevent them
I
from,
see.
seeking out a different community, right? A
Hmm.
lot of the larger sort of organizations and stuff like that, they already communicate in that way, especially with the FGC. But we can look to sort of encompass more than just the FGC and sort of esports or venues, tournament organizers in general, not just certain games.
Right. Interesting.
So there's so many things that we're looking at doing, and like I think the most important part is that these things are actionable,
Mm.
that they will create a real difference and really help with these underlying issues. We don't want to, like me personally, OG best of three, like Amuka. I want to make sure that we don't just say things and we don't really have any follow up.
Right. Yeah.
That there has to be some change that comes from it.
Hmm.
And I'm very happy that with the community leaders and all the people that I'm speaking to, that they're looking to make that change as well, to action it.
No, I agree. Like you can't just be an organization that condemns improper action without kind of taking some kind of step to correct it. You can be a person who does that. You can absolutely be a person who does that. You can be a person who says, no, I don't believe in the bad stuff that's going on, and then you just operate your life as as a good person, and that's enough. That's all that any individual needs to do. But
Right.
organizations, for sure, if you're in the position where you can make a change and you can enable other people and support other people, prevent other people from getting physically, mentally, any kind of hurt, then absolutely you do that. So that's good. From what I'm hearing is real good. I haven't actually
Yeah,
heard this before, so this is all news to me, and I like that.
yeah, it's I'm glad I get to share this with you
Mhm.
now and everybody else too. And some other stuff that were brought up, like chaperones for people who are underage. I think age has
yeah.
become a real big issue right now. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure we do something to protect those that are vulnerable, underage. So these are things that are being thrown out now. How feasible is it to implement this across the board? You know what I mean? It's not that easy.
Mhm.
And not everyone is going to agree to this. Not everyone is going to agree to the costs that may come with this. But I think it's very important to the longevity of gaming and esports in general,
Right.
of the communities in general. Like, it's just to ensure that these places are safe to be at.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think it's very important.
Right.
So hopefully we get enough people on board that agree. So
Absolutely. No, and I think especially in light of recent events, things are going to be making a change. A lot of people are going to be hungry to see change, and will be, I would hope, quick to support change. The people who would are a-okay in my book.
so actually, I just want to drop this as well. Maybe Chris Lama is the one sort of organizing some of the stuff behind the scenes.
Okay.
And if for anybody out there who does have a community who has in Canada, if they want to be a part of it, or if they do want to take actionable steps to do something about these issues, please reach out to him, and I'm sure he can get you started, and we can all work together on this.
I want to keep that. There's one part in there that in Canada that I want to hold on to, because that's what we're going to be talking about next. But I do want to kind of wrap up the talk about what we've been seeing going on in the industry, just with a quick but very true statement from us at Best of Three and Organized Gaming. And Alex, I hope you'll be all right with me going ahead and sharing that statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Great.
Yeah.
So I'll just read this off here because we've written this down. We wholeheartedly believe it, and it's as such. Best of Three and Organized Gaming does not condone harassment, bullying, or unwanted advances, whether that be online or offline. We've been educating ourselves and are committed to creating a safe and welcoming environment for enthusiasts and our communities. This includes working with affiliates and others in the industry to support positive and actionable change. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right. Let's move on. As I said, you mentioned in Canada, and that's kind of been a big thing for us at Best of Three in the most recent kind of way that we've been looking at taking this podcast in that kind of direction. So, I mean, really, our new direction, right now that we want to take Best of Three is supporting Canada and the esports community within it. We want to really focus in on what esports looks like in Canada. It's going to look a lot like what we've been doing for Best of Three, even before the at home stuff, at home and otherwise. We're going to be talking with more Canadian individuals in esports.
I look forward to what I would really love to do is build up more of the Canadian scene.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with this.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout all of this, I've really realized that the communities mean so much to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurt me so much to see all of this. And ultimately, I think it's best that we focus on the communities that are closest to us. There's a lot of communities across gaming, and everyone's part of a greater gaming and esports community.
Yeah.
But we have our own that are in Canada and around us, around the Waves hub, and everything like that. So to really, I think, build up our communities and to focus on the players that are winning tournaments, the teams that are competing, sort of the organizers that are doing things locally and around Canada. I think it's really important to build that up and to highlight all of the positive things that are happening really in our scene, in our local scenes. So I really like that we're heading in that direction.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. And I mean, we're lucky enough to have that facility, to have Waves as kind of that central location to, bring in all of these Canadian talent, I guess is the word. I don't know.
Talent.
Just bring in Canadian talent, all this Canadian talent. Because there is a lot of it. And I feel like Canada kind of
don't get enough shine.
Exactly. Right? Like Canada, it just does not get the kind of appreciation in esports that it deserves. Obviously, there's a big focus in the US. There's a big focus in Europe, a huge focus in Asia as well. But I feel like Canada has always kind of been second fiddle to the US. And I feel like we, in many regards, not even just in esports, we stand on the same kind of pedestal as US often, or as any of these other, major world organizations. And so that's what we want to kind of do with Best of Threes. We want to talk with the people who are helping to make, the Canadian esports ecosystem what it is, and what makes it great, and what makes it fun and safe. Those are all the things that we want to focus on, and it's what we've been wanting to focus on since the beginning. Except I feel like our scope and our scale was just so huge. We wanted to talk about everybody all around the world.
Yeah,
and like there was a full on episode where we talked about. I think it was actually called Esports Around the World, right? And we
Yeah,
found
yeah.
news articles from different places, and that was fun. But I feel like we could do that just so close to home, and it's all right there,
Yeah.
just out our doorstep.
Closer to home.
Yeah.
Closer to home,
Yeah.
I think. So I'm very much excited for that, looking forward to that, and looking forward to the great people that we're gonna be talking to.
For sure.
So there's a lot of people in the community locally that we haven't touched, that we haven't talked to, that we. So I look forward.
And even
to that
some
as
that
well.
we have that I kind of want to circle back with and see how they're doing right
Yeah.
now. I can think of at least 3 off the top of my head from like the first 5 or 10 podcasts that I'm like, oh man, I wonder how they're doing. Cool. So with that, next major announcement, Alex, you've actually been spearheading this one, so I'll let you take the reins.
All right, so I am very happy to announce that we've joined the Prediction Esports Podcast Network.
Well, there you go. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you
So-
expecting I'll clap for you. There you go.
Nah, I'll clap for myself.
That's fine. Pause for effect.
So they're an esports podcast network. They have some very, very good podcasts, some great podcasts on their network, and so excited to join them. Just to list some of the great shows that they have on there. They have the Codcast with Nameless, JCap, I think Looney, and some others are on there as well.
Looney. Yeah.
They have Wombo Combo with Banana Slam Jamma. So Dota podcast right there.
Mhm. That's your jam.
Yeah, definitely. And Banana Slam Jamma is like he's a very well-known creator in Dota as well. Not necessarily a pro player, but
Really?
yeah, big ups to him. Esports Talk as well, very, very big esports talk show. And if anybody listens to the Backliners is a Smite podcast with Barracuda and Aggro.
Okay.
So some
Smite podcast.
yeah, so
cool.
there's a Smite podcast. Sorry, I don't play Smite, but
No.
I'm sure there's a lot of Smite players out there who would be interested in that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. There's
it's-
lots of great podcasts out there, lots of different games that they speak about. And so then like we kind of felt like Prediction was a great place for us because we encompass esports within our niche of Canada. So
Canada.
or we will rather. We've kind of been. But anyway.
Yes, definitely. So I'm very, very excited for this partnership and getting to know sort of our other network co-hosts.
Yeah.
If I don't know if we can call them that.
Absolutely.
And just we will be able to cross promote each other's shows. We'll be able to get more ads and start to monetize the show a little bit. So that will definitely help support our show and then, give longevity to what we're doing, right? Hopefully we can build this up to be even bigger and greater. And Prediction Network is going to help us do that.
That's awesome.
Very excited.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, let's start to wrap things up a little bit. I think we've had a very productive conversation. It's been really nice just kind of getting your take on a lot of the things that have been going on in esports and around the world, and even just kind of with us and with what Organized Gaming and Amuka's been doing. So real quick, next week we're going to be speaking with Amy G. And we're going to be diving deeper into how and why some of the problems that we've been speaking about today are so kind of pervasive in gaming. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation because I want to keep hearing more about this. I don't want the conversation to stop, and I don't think it should stop. I think it should always be something that's top of mind for everybody who's trying to navigate themselves in the world that we live in. It's important.
Definitely. It's again a tough balance.
Yeah.
The content, we are entertainment at the end of the day, but these are very important topics that the conversation should not stop.
Absolutely.
And right now I think we want to keep it going. So thank you to everybody who is open, who has been listening, who has been, educating themselves along with us, and who continue to do so, and who can do so next week with us as well.
Absolutely.
So,
And if anybody has any kind of questions for either of us, you can find Alex at KrispyKim Donut on Twitter. You can find me at StillJustMike on Twitter, or you can send us an email at bo3@organizedgaming.co. With that, I am going to end things off here, but thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks for hearing us talk.
Yeah.
And
thank you for being a part of the tough conversations.
Exactly. Yeah. And we will be back next week for some more conversations. So we'll see you then.